Welcome. Welcome to this Friday, the 13th, SitRep. Spooky day. Let's get into it, shall we? You've been wandering around the internet, now you found me. And I'm going to scry into the world and see what is happening out there. I was thinking about this morning. Scrying is another word for looking into the future. It's what Nostradamus used to do, allegedly, through a dark mirror. A dark mirror, kind of like probably what you're staring at right now. And I wonder, is there some sort of time traveler out there who just dropped his iPhone in France in front of this guy called Nostradamus, and he picked it up and started reading all the stories, and we're like, what is this? That's pretty plausible, I reckon. All right, let's jump into it. SitRep today. So this is where I go through stories that I've looked at around the traps, around different places. And I pick out the ones that piqued my interest. And then we have a chat about it, about as preppers, what we can do in the future. Not necessarily, these things aren't necessarily going to be things that affect us, but they're interesting stories to me. What would happen if we were in that situation? So that's sort of the angle here. That's what we're going for. Right. Speaking of spooky stuff, I went and saw Doctor Strange 2 last night. Directed by Sam Raimi, who's known for doing scary movies. It had some scary parts in it. If you want to go see a scary movie, it was also kind of like a 2-hour-long TikTok video. Don't know where these movies are going nowadays. It's a lot, but it was cool. I liked it. Anyway, let's start off here with Bloomberg. Bloomberg, what are they talking about? Is a wheat crisis developing in China as farmers cut crops early? More food problems on the way. Obviously not going to affect us here in Australia necessarily, but could affect some people in China. And I think China's got a couple of people there. Just 1 or 2. Billion. They've got a huge chunk of the world's population there, and if stuff starts going awry with their food system, then a lot of people are not going to just hurt, they're going to die. So this is pretty important for us to look at and go, like, this is not a good thing. Obviously, if those people start to then move as a nation based on food, that's kind of like plague of locusts would be afraid of the Chinese nation moving, I'm sure. As global food prices remain at record highs and war wages in Europe between 2 of the world's largest grain suppliers, troubling videos from China show farmers slashing winter wheat production ahead of harvest times, adding even more uncertainty to food security. Bloomberg reports Chinese agricultural minister is very concerned about the matter, as he probably should be, or she should be. The ministry is investigating if there's illegal destruction of wheat crops going on. Why would there be illegal destruction of wheat crops? All right. Danielle Moreau's just chucked in a question, which I will answer in 1 sec. Thanks for the question. I'll just finish off with this. But China slashing their food there. This isn't the... Am I at an angle on Instagram? Is that better? This isn't the first story that I've picked up on this one. I've talked about this a little bit, where we're starting to see crops being destroyed. Actually, a friend of mine sent a photo of avocado crops in northern Queensland in Australia here that were just being dumped and destroyed. Huge amounts of avocados that were just like, nah, we're dumping it. I couldn't find any story on it. I couldn't find any verification on it. It was just a video of a whole heap of avocados being dumped out onto the ground. Could be that is actually flood damaged avocados, because when I was up there helping out with the floods in northern New South Wales, that's a huge avocado growing area. That's probably their main thing, that and macadamias from up in that area, and then sugarcane as well. But some of those avocado plantations were underwater like the trees were underwater when I was there. So I remember leaving going like, I think macadamias and avocados are going to be hurting come this harvesting cycle. So that could be that happening. But there are these reports, rumor, innuendo, conspiracy theories about that the food system is being targeted and that farmers are actually being paid to destroy crops. So is that part of that? I don't know, but that's something interesting. Okay, so Danielle Moreau asks, hearing rumblings here in the US about Australia not wanting its people to grow gardens. Now, this is something that I chucked up on there, and I had a big rant about probably about a week ago. And then I asked for more information from you guys, and you guys did send it in. That was from Jen, so thanks heaps, Jen, who poured through this particular piece of legislation that was getting pushed through. And since then, it's obviously caught the interest of a lot of people in the US, because since then I've had a number of people in the US ask me about this. So short answer, no. Our government is not stopping us growing food on a backyard scale. What it is doing, from a biosecurity perspective, was increasing its abilities in the law to move in and destroy crops if they deemed that they needed to. It had a proviso in there, very specifically written in there. I can't remember the subsection or the paragraph number, but it was very specifically written in there that this does not apply to what is essentially backyard, so domiciles or places of residence, I think was the writing. Doesn't apply to backyard gardens, so we can continue to garden, and I really highly recommend people do that. It's when things get to a higher scale. There is a little bit of like gray languaging, as there is in any law, but the short and the curly of it is that no, they're not stopping us from gardening yet. Maybe they'll get there. I don't know. But so hopefully that answers your question, Danielle. All right. Let's talk about some pandemic stuff that caught my eye. Biden came out and in his speech said, this pandemic, quote, this pandemic isn't over. Very closely followed by Schultz, the German head of SHED, came out and said, quote, this pandemic is not over. Just interesting languaging. I think that they're both coming out. A couple of speaking points there on the same thing. Pretty closely followed by, and I'm sure this wasn't scripted at all because of who it comes from, Kim Jong-un comes out and says, we're locking down. Yes, North Korea has had their first official case of COVID. Ooh, it's landed. And so the beloved leader, in all his infinite wisdom, has shut the country down. So what I'm expecting to not see, hold there. I will cut it there and I will be back in 1 second.